Welcome to this week's podcast. We are going to talk about debt, dealing with debt. I'm currently going through this, so I will share with you my experience. And I coached one of my clients on this exact topic this morning. So I'm also going to talk about their experience in the hope that it helps you. So when I look at debt, I'm thinking about credit cards, maybe loans. I don't really take into account your mortgage because most people have a mortgage, but I'm specifically thinking about credit cards with this particular topic. But you can look at any debt that you have. And what's fascinating, as a society, we've been conditioned to believe that debt is somehow negative, that we have this kind of belief system, or we've been offered this belief system that debt is bad on some level. And you can choose to hold on to that belief system if you want to, but I would really invite you to consider an alternative. So I have noticed that my husband and I have this pattern of behavior and a thought process where we think more money will come. So we'll put it on the credit card and more money will come to us and we'll pay it off. Now, I believe it is a fact that money continuously flows to us. I have seen evidence of this in my life. Money has always been there for me. Money has always been there for you. Now, I'm not saying that that is necessarily an abundance of money or huge amounts of wealth or numbers, but the fact that I was always fed, that I lived in a house, that I had clothes, that I went to school and we had holidays. Yes, my holidays were camping, but we still had holidays, indicated that money was coming in because to buy food, to buy clothes, to buy a house, you have to have money. So just consider for a second your upbringing. And if you're watching me on YouTube or you're hearing me on a podcast while you're out for your walk, or maybe you're listening while you're cooking tea in your kitchen, you have money. Money comes to you. It's like breath. We breathe, it flows in and it has to flow out. That is the natural flow of money. So let's just acknowledge that for a second, that actually you could choose to believe that money has always been there for you instead of money's bad or money's negative or money's evil. That's not the case. For some, it is, but money just exaggerates your personality. So bad people would do bad things with money. Good people would do good things with money. So it's not the money, it's the individual that stewards that money or manages that money that does the actions. So money in itself isn't bad, and it has always looked out for you. It has always come and it has always gone, and it's always come and it's always gone. However, being in this pattern of thinking where more money is coming than what I know is from my salary isn't helpful. So I really just acknowledged and owned that literally, yes, last night. I was talking to my coach and then she's like, "What pattern are you in?" I was like, "This is the pattern." And I really had to acknowledge the fact that this was our habitual pattern of behavior. And then if this is your pattern of behavior, whatever you've noted, like notice your pattern being, then just notice how I think, and probably you think, more money will make a difference. If I had more money coming in, that would solve all of my problems. More money coming in would pay off your credit card, but more money coming in will not change that habitual pattern of thinking or behavior. And then what will happen is if more money does come in, now you've got an even bigger problem because you've got bigger debt with more money because you're not changing that pattern of behavior. So this is actually a gift. If you're just hearing this for the first time, starting to do this work for yourself now before you become the millionaire, this is going to be really, really amazing. So, with my client this morning, we were talking about her credit card, and she has an amount of money on her credit card, number of credit cards, actually. And she had this thought, I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like having money on my credit card. And it made her feel really frustrated. When she thought that about her credit card balances, she felt incredibly frustrated. Now, you would think that if you didn't like something, you would take action to overcome it. But frustration doesn't work that way. Frustration actually had her um, shouting at her partner when he asked for the credit card or asked for more money. Frustration had her having this negative talk in her head. It's only going to get worse. I'm never going to pay it off. This is terrible. This is awful. I shouldn't be this way. Really beating herself up. Frustration didn't have her thinking rationally. And frustration, like isolated herself in her mind in the sense that she didn't like sit down with an expansive brain and come up with a plan or make a budget. So frustration didn't actually fuel any productive action to change her circumstance. And this thought, I don't like it, had her creating so much more negativity around her credit card because of how she was talking about it and more negativity that she didn't like. So I don't like it had her creating more of it because of the frustration she was feeling. That is not the credit card. Think about this for a second. The credit card isn't even a thing. Like it might be a plastic bit in your wallet that has no emotions of its own, so it can't push an emotion into your body. It's digits on a screen somewhere when you log in on your phone or your laptop. It has no emotions. So, how possibly can something with no emotion push frustration into your body? It is not the credit card debt. It's not even the word debt. And so we have to acknowledge, first of all, that that's what was happening for her. We had to see that with a lot of fascination, no judgment, zero shaming whatsoever, but just fascinated that this thought that she had about her credit card, I don't like it, was creating so much more of what she didn't like. So I asked her, I was like, look, can you imagine feeling anything different about this credit card? Can you imagine feeling neutral? I said, how do you want to behave when it comes to your credit card? And she said, well, I would really like to create a plan to pay it off. I'm like, okay. I said, is there anything else you want to do? She said, well, I don't want to beat myself up anymore. I said, okay. And then she said, and I would like to see this credit card as a means to an end. Perfect. And and I said, is there anything else? She said, well, I would really like to budget more. And her husband, unfortunately, has been poorly, so he hasn't been able to work. So his salary had gone down. So between now and when the next payday came in, nothing was coming into the house. So she knew she was going to have to put £300 onto her credit card in order to buy food and fuel. And this is what she didn't like. And so we talked about it. And I said, so what would, if someone was seeing this as a means to an end and only using the credit card for fuel and food, how might they be feeling about it? And she's like, I don't know. I can't imagine anything but frustration. And so I suggested to her, I said, I would really like to just offer you for just a second. I said, we're just going to play. What if you felt gratitude towards this credit card? And you saw her whole body language relax. And she was like, oh my gosh, I had never even considered that I could see it that way. And I was like, no, because we're so busy, conditioned by our belief system. I said, but what if that was true? Like, if you were grateful, what would you be thinking? She said, well, I've got opportunities. I have choices. I have an opportunity here. And I was like, that's amazing because there are people in the world who don't have the resources of a credit card or a mortgage or, a loan from a parent. There are some people in the world that aren't getting paid for 2 weeks that actually do not have access to money to feed their family. But fortunately, we do. Fortunately, we do have a credit card that we could use. And when she thought about it that way, it just made her so grateful for having that resource. She still needs to use it, but gratitude now has her planning to pay it off, sticking to a budget. Gratitude doesn't have her beating herself up. And gratitude has her seeing this whole process as a means to an end. And so when you think when I've got options and she felt grateful, she felt so much calmer. She came up with a whole load more options on what she could do to pay it off. So at a point where you can't quickly, at a flick of a switch, change the circumstance, you can always change your mind and your emotions around it. And actually, when you step away from frustration and you step into gratitude, you are able to access your wisdom, your higher wisdom, and come up with a plan and a budget. And you can do that from a place of absolute abundance. It doesn't have to be fueled from scarcity. So that's what I'm about to do now with my husband. Literally, we are about to sit down, go through all our incomings, go through all our outgoings, look at our debt on the amount on our credit cards, and from a place of absolute gratitude because we can remortgage. We have that resource. Yes, interest rates have gone up, but if you took that credit card away or you took that mortgage away, we're then homeless. So we can be really grateful for the mortgage. We can be really grateful for the credit card. And it is an investment into your life that has enabled you to live your life. It's enabled you to have a house. It's enabled you to buy the car, whatever the debt was. But from gratitude, you can then create your plan to reduce it down. And when you're acting from gratitude, it just feels so much more, it's just so much nicer. And this is where the acknowledge, breathe, and choose comes in, right? So we had to sit down first of all and acknowledge what she was creating. That thought, I don't like it, made her frustrated. Frustration drove no action to change. So she just ended up creating more negativity. Whereas when she dropped into gratitude because she was thinking, I have options, it was gratitude that enabled her to make a plan, stop beating herself up, stick to using it just for food and fuel, and see it as a means to an end. And gratitude, because she's thinking I had opportunities, made her calmly create more opportunities for herself. So it's acknowledging where you currently are, what your thought and feeling currently is around the credit card, taking a really nice deep breath and having a willingness to redirect your brain when it starts going, I don't like it, shouldn't be there, you shouldn't be this, we're a failure, rah, rah, rah. Take a breath, redirect your brain, and choose instead to believe I have options. I have resources available to me. Aren't I lucky? And drop into gratitude. That's what I have for you this week. I hope it helps. And if you need help with that acknowledgement, that's what a life coach does. I am able to show you your thoughts at a point where you just think you're reeling the facts. You're telling me the news. That is bad. The weather's miserable. That person shouldn't have said it. You all think that's fact, but none of those are facts. And it takes someone outside of you to very lovingly and very compassionately say, hey, you have other options. Can I suggest this? And if you're up for that, let's have a conversation. Have an amazing week, and I'll speak to you again next week.